Should dishonest doctors be struck off the register and be barred from practicing medicine? In an opinion piece written by ST Senior Health correspondent Salma Khalik today, she said the answer is not so simple. Let's look at some numbers first. Between 2008 and 2017, the Singapore Medical Council held 126 disciplinary cases against doctors, and 3 doctors were struck off the register. More specifically, 2 dentists have been charged with cheating the government through the Community Health Assist Scheme. And more are expected as 17 medical and dental clinics have been taken off the subsidy scheme by the Health Ministry for possible fraud. Chief Justice Sundaresh Menon pointed out that the Medical Disciplinary Tribunal seemed more relaxed about dishonesty than the Law Society of Singapore. He said, "There are many examples of cases where doctors have received terms of suspension for acts of dishonesty which, if committed by lawyers, would almost certainly have warranted the sanction of a striking off." Salma Khalik is here with me right now to share more with us. Hi Salma.
Hi Kimberly.
So do you think with this issue, right, should the doctors and lawyers be held to the same standard?
Actually, there are certain basic moral issues that I think everybody should be held to certain standards. But here we are talking about punishment. Should doctors and lawyers be punished equally for the same misdemeanor? Right. And I think, for example, doctors, to me, harm to a patient is more serious than just pure dishonesty. I guess in the legal profession it's different because lawyers are actually members of the court. You represent law and order, so for them dishonesty is very important. But if you look at normal court cases, right? So there are different levels of dishonesty. You've got somebody who maybe stole a toothpaste from a supermarket. You know, he's not going to be jailed for 10 years. So even in normal circumstances, dishonesty has different grades.
Correct.
And to me, I think where doctors are concerned, there should also be different grades.
I see.
Yes.
So it shouldn't be sort of a blanket at all.
Not the same dishonesty rule that lawyers have. Although to a large extent, I think dishonesty is a very serious offence.
So if you were to go a little bit wider, right? You posed the question actually at the end of your piece, which is that you asked if there is no risk to the public, should their punishments be lighter? What is your personal opinion?
Well, like I said earlier, I think there's a whole range, right? And to me, the most important thing where doctors are concerned is harm to patients. Anything that affects harm to patients, I think the SMC should land on them very severely. Anything that's less than that, well, it depends on the circumstances, on the individual case. You can't have a blanket, when it comes to punishments, there's always a range.
Right.
And I think we should use that range.
So do you have any examples for any forgivable offences? What would you say?
Okay, of the examples that the CJ brought up of dishonesty, there was one case of a young doctor, a houseman, who was shoplifting. A similar case with a lawyer who shoplifted. The lawyer was struck off. The houseman was merely censured. Now, censuring might have been too light, right?
Okay.
But I do not think the doctor needs to be struck off. He said he was under a lot of stress at that time, and hopefully being hauled up before a tribunal will teach him a lesson, and that in future he would behave himself.
I see. So, with this issue, tell us why this is so important.
It's largely timing.
Okay.
Because right now the SMC has got a committee to look into the various punishments for disciplinary tribunals.
Okay.
In the past they didn't. So each tribunal will look at previous cases and then decide on their own. So you get huge discrepancies. Some judges are more strict, other tribunals are more lenient. So now they're coming up with a list. If it's this type of problem, this is the sort of punishment that should go with it.
Okay.
So while they're coming up with the guidelines, I think this is a time that these issues should be raised, especially amongst the medical professionals, but also members of the public, because we are patients and we depend on doctors.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's really surprising that they didn't have one before.
I think it's just historical.
Okay.
In the past, they didn't have so many cases, right? And as more and more cases come, I think you really need to have it set up properly.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing more with us, Salma. To read the full opinion piece, do head on to straitstimes.com, and you can also join in the conversation in the comments below.